Welcome back, everyone. Are you planning on tying the knot this year? If so, you'll definitely want to keep it locked right here on abc24 over the next several weeks. Wedding expert and event designer Andria is here to tell us all about things that you need to keep in mind as you prepare for the big day, and she's going to be doing that once again over the next several weeks. Today, we're talking about money, though. That, of course, is often the determining factor in how big or how small your event is going to be. And we were just talking about money being so important, and there are a lot of things that people really need to keep in mind as they plan on their wedding. Typically, what's the time frame that people have between saying, okay, let's do this, and actually walking down and saying, I do?
Okay, it does vary, but the average time is between 9 months and 12 months.
Okay.
That always gives everyone time to get the amount of money that they want and really to make the decisions and honestly not have to write huge checks, you know, right up front. So typically between 9 months and 12 months is about an average.
Do you need upfront money? I mean, do you need a certain amount of money upfront just to book the facility, to book certain venues, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Once you start planning a wedding, when you say, I'm going to get married, and you go to visit a venue or a caterer, you need to have a third of whatever that total cost is going to be on hand. So that is why, you know, we say stop and have what I call the non-fun discussion. You know, get your paperwork together, get your money together, then go and begin to visit your venues and things like that. Because with a venue, you may need to have 50% down, definitely probably about a third of whatever that cost is. The same with your caterers or your wedding planners. So yes, you do need to have some money readily available when you begin.
Is there an average price for a wedding? Give me a good ballpark number, just a number, pull something out of the air.
Okay.
That's a good number that people can kind of start to work from.
Okay, the national average is about $23,000 for a wedding.
I must not have had a wedding. I just had a little party with some people and I said I do. $23,000.
That's the national average. Ooh. But you know, some can absolutely be between, you know, 40 and 60. It depends on the market. It depends on the number of guests you're going to have. And we will talk about guests next week. But specifically, you know, the higher your guest count, the more money you're going to spend. That's the bottom line on that. So, but the national average is about $23,000, but you don't have to spend that much. You absolutely do not.
I'm going to ask this, and then I want to get to some things that people can do to try to save themselves some money.
Okay.
These days, is it a passé thought that the parents of the bride pay for the wedding?
Not at all, not at all. Most of the brides that come to Andria Lewis events are between the age of 25, 33, that's on average. Okay. And so they are still, you know, of the age where mom and dad want to really, really send their children off well. So absolutely not passé. Mom and dad contribute, couples contribute a good bit, and then you will have possibly grandparents. So those three entities actually need to get together, have a meeting, decide who is contributing how much money, and then the wedding planning can begin. Once you know how much money you have, don't go anywhere until you know how much money you are going to have to spend on your wedding. But parents, grandparents, and the couple.
How can you save money? How can you cut costs?
Well, here's the thing about cutting costs. Trim your guest list. Bottom line, everything goes back to the number of people you have at your wedding. You have more guests, you have more food, you have more tables, you have more centerpieces, you have more chairs, and it goes on and on and on. If you need to cut costs, you have got to cut that guest list. No other way.
So that's the first thing. Is there a second thing that people can do? Because I'm sure that's probably the most difficult for people.
It is.
Okay, is there something else that people might be able to consider?
Well, one thing that I would say is I have particular aspects of a wedding. I've been planning for 14 years, so I've seen some things that work, some that don't work. One thing that brides can do on their own is to produce their own save the dates or their own stationery for the wedding, because there are a lot of resources out there to help them put out a good product for their guests. So something in that area, I would say stay away from trying to do your own centerpieces. That never works. No, but I would say stationery is a way to have a do-it-yourself, which can save. But plan well for it. Plan well for it. And I would say, you know, a couple of DIY projects will help.
In your 14 years, what's the biggest mistake you've seen people make? especially when it comes to the money?
Going out before they know how much money they have to spend. Absolutely. I call it spinning your wheels. They don't sit down and they don't get a line item budget together, which is the first thing that we do with our clients. I say, I know you're excited, but we need to sit down and talk about money and allocate what's going into each category. And the biggest mistake, bar none, is running out and booking a venue that costs $6,000 and you have a total budget of $15,000. So you've got to slow down. Still have fun. You're still going to have fun planning your wedding, but you've got to slow down and do things kind of in an order.
Would it maybe behoove people then to extend the engagement maybe a year so they can save?
Absolutely, absolutely. And with the recession area, that is what I noticed most, is that instead of clients getting engaged in December, getting married the next May, they may get married the next November. So yes, absolutely. Put everything out just a little bit more, and that does give you enough time. Set yourself up on a payment plan. Again, all of our clients, once we have all of our vendors booked, everyone is put on a monthly payment plan for those vendors, so that you actually have it in front of you, because it definitely will get away from you through the excitement, through spending money. So just keep everything on paper, keep everything in front of you.
Right. You talked about the recession. I'm curious, what trend did you see when we were really in the heart of the recession in terms of people trying to cut costs? Did the face of weddings change?
Not really. Again, the biggest trend was to extend the engagement period.
Okay.
That is absolutely what I saw the most of.
Okay.
Our clients just simply said, well, we're going to be engaged for a year and a half instead of the 9 months that we initially wanted. So they book a venue. You know, some venues and some vendors will not book past a certain time, maybe a year out. 18 months out is a little bit too far for them.
Okay.
But as many vendors as they could get, you know, who would book them within that time frame, they just extended it, you know, and planned well. You can still have the wedding that you want, you know, but just plan well for it. Slow down and plan well.
Before I let you go for today, what do you expect to be the cool theme of the year? What do you expect to be the hot theme?
Well, what I would like to see the hot theme to be is for couples to continue to have their wedding be about themselves, and actually not go and look at the hot color and the hot, you know, piece of linen, you know, or the cookie bars, and, you know, and things like that, but make it very personal to who they are as a couple. That should be, and I hope that would be the biggest trend that we could ever come up with.
All right, good stuff. We will see you next week, and we're going to talk about guest list and food.
Guest list next week, yes.
All right,
Guess
good
who's
stuff.
coming to dinner.
All right, we will see you then.